everybody. Thank you for attending. This is the October 20th, 2020. Oh, that's interesting. October 20th, 2020 General Ortelius Community Meeting. Uh, so we have some agenda items we're going to quickly go through, and then I want to talk about kind of what we really need to get focused on and get working on. Uh, so Steve, you want to cover what the architecture marketplace team got done or is focused on?
Yep. So from the development side, what we've been working on are the new microservices. Thanks to Sasha, Aisha, and there's somebody else. I know Karam was going to get started on it. And I may be missing something. Don't blame me. I haven't looked at the pull requests lately. Um, but we're moving along. Those have been, we're doing a staged approach on that. So we're doing little changes to roll out the microservices. Basically, a dummy starting point and then building upon that as we move along. Um, I did get the Google Cloud build sorted out for the main Ortelius Docker container, not the new microservices ones, but the main Docker container. And Aisha is using that to do her um, starting point with the cloud build around the microservices. So Sasha, I'll touch base with you on that. I'll loop back around with you.
Hey
I
Steve, on that note, you think you could do a like a demo recording for that so everybody knows what it looks like and what to do?
Yep, yep, we could do a quick recording of that. Uh, and then I worked with Josh over the weekend in getting the access control for our Azure Kubernetes cluster sorted out. Azure has this weird integration to Active Directory. So we had a couple little things to work through to get basically command line interface into the Kubernetes cluster so we can start doing deployments around that. And then also we talked about in the architecture and marketplace meetings around the user's experience. So that was some of the homework was to get going with the initial starting point of Ortelius, get some feedback on that, how we can make it better. Basically, how can we get people up and running as quickly as possible at the same time of them understanding what's happening, you know, user experience wise. Um, so that's what I basically had going on with the marketplace architecture, and everybody for Hacktoberfest is moving along pretty well. I think most everybody has their 4 pull requests. If you're short, I know I'm working with Aisha on she needs 2 more, so I'll get that taken care of. There's a couple. It goes through the end of the month, so we'll be able to get people caught up. So if you haven't started, there's plenty of time to work on that and get your pull requests in. So that's kind of what I had on the those working groups. Tracy, over to
Yep. So user experience is something that um, I think that we all should be focused on. Uh, Nail just pointed out that in the Docker container, we don't have the hipster store installed. So that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. Uh, the outreach committee, the outreach marketing group, we talked about this as being a primary kind of focus, as well as we're working on our mission statement and our value statements. I don't remember who suggested that we do this, but thank you whoever did, and we are working on it. So right now, our mission statement has the one that I like the most, and I actually reviewed with John O'Bacon, who wrote a book called People Powered. I'm taking a class with him. Is our mission is to simplify the adoption of modern architecture through a world-class microservice management platform driven by a supportive and diverse open global open source community. And on that note, this first part is the most important part. So if we're going to do that, we really need to make sure that our user experience is as simple as possible. So I've asked everybody to, go through the user experience, get us feedback, and I'm really worried about the first hour somebody has, because if we do get a proper Ortelius stood up, say in the CDF, we want to make sure when people start using that it's really easy to set up for them, and that's where we are on that.
And what we may need to do is schedule a one-off meeting for like an hour to talk about user experience. So be on the lookout for that. We'll probably do it, 8:30 Mountain Time. Basically the same time slot in the next week or so.
Okay, maybe we can do that in the outreach meeting. Just change that, but
Okay.
we'll look at the
Well,
cat because I hate to keep adding slots on people's calendars.
oh, it's just gonna be a one-off. So if we need to take over the outreach
Yeah,
time slot,
exactly.
but we need
Exactly.
to we need at least an hour.
Okay. Um, Parajat and is Nitu on?
No, I don't think so. She can't make this time slot.
Okay. Uh, do you have anything, Parajat? Do you have anything you want to talk about in terms of community meeting? You want to talk about your meeting with, we had a meeting with Marky Jackson and what you are working on and what Nitu is working on?
Yeah, so last Tuesday we had a first session with our coach Marky. He was very nice and humble and encouraging, and he basically asked us. He basically put the question on us like what is something that you would like to change or something that is on your mind. So Neetu put put forward her suggestion to create like user personas, something which will be very helpful. What I put forward was I thought that maybe some people are new to this whole open source thing, uh, and they might require, and sometimes they might hesitate to ask also for help or like suggestions. So I am going to curate like a or compile a list of helpful resources to help them get started. And Steve also showed me a document, some git cheat sheet that he created. So and videos also we are going to make. So yeah, I'm working on that.
Great. We can't hear you, Steve, for
I
some
know
reason.
I want to mute by accident. So if anybody is good with editing MP4s and stuff, please reach out to Priyajat. Because what we'll do is we'll just get some raw stuff recorded, and then we'll go ahead and clean it up. Um, and that kind of brings me one of the Hacktoberfest issues is a logo, and it would be great if we had a logo to stick at the front of those videos.
Yep, I think that what we're going to do with that logo is at the end, we'll probably vote. I think I know already. There's two that Mark Peters' daughter worked on. One has the alien is kind of flying over and he's pointing, which I think is a really a nice image because this is all about discovery and mapping. So what we'll do is, if that is what we all feel like we should use, what I'd like to do is take that image and then like to send it off to 99 designers to see if we get anybody that has um, kind of similar concepts. And then if we don't find anything that we like better, then we'll ask Mark to have his daughter submit a, an Adobe file for it, and she's going to have to do some cleanup on it, uh, to make that work. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I really liked her first one. I thought it was pretty spot on actually, and it was a quick kind of. She just kind of quickly drew it. She still has to actually create it in some kind of a in a way that we can get an AI file out of it.
Yeah. So if you want to see what we're talking about, I think this was the first one.
That's the second one. That's what the alien freaked out because the dog has the the controls. That's the one I like. I think she can, there's work she has to do on it, but I like the idea of the image. And we may ask Mark if we can get her on a call and really talk to her about, what Ortelius is in terms of mapping the Death Star, and see what she has to say about it, or maybe that'll help her get some ideas. But I think the alien could have some legs of its own, kind of like the Jenkins butler, where he's still in a spaceship, but he may wear different hats and have different looks for different user groups. I'm thinking in the future here, if we're successful, that would be a fun kind of a fun thing to have. Like
Okay.
I have uh, this really cool sticker. It's got it was a birthday party for Kubernetes, and it was, the Jenkins butler with a Kubernetes captain's hat on, and a birthday cake. So I think that we could do some fun things with that kind of persona. Okay, let's talk about what's probably the most important call for the topic for this, and that's what I'm calling the big rocks. We really need to have some global or common community goals. And for the year for 2021, what we really need to try to accomplish and make it in a way that we can actually track KPIs. So for example, it's easy to track how many GitHub stars we have. It's easy to track how many Git commits and how many contributors and adopters. I didn't put the numbers down there because I thought we could just throw them out and we'd all work, digest it for a bit and then come back in 2 weeks and decide what that should look like. But let's just have a discussion about what we think that we could accomplish and if we should list it in the way I have here, or we could list it in, we could add things like uh, migrate, uh, migrate fully to microservices could be one. Um, uh, Publish our first global marketplace, like Sandia Labs or Los Alamos Labs data. Uh, some of the other big items that we've been talking about doing. Steve, there was one, I should have written these down when you were talking about it the other day.
Mm, I think can't think of the other ones off the top of my head. The only thing would be
Oh, I know. Converting all what's called DM script to Python.
yeah, I think higher level that the one of the goals would be to um, on building the community would be get training. And I don't want to call them training videos, but quick 5-minute videos on how to videos. And this is one of the things Priyajat was starting with around the Git PR cheat sheet. But I think not only on Ortelius, but also on how to contribute around the community. Um, I think that will help a lot because I think we have a few shy people out there.
Yep. So I think that one we should just move up as a task, and I think these two in general we should pull out of a. We don't want to wait for the end of the year to get that done. I think we should pull those out, and we should create pull requests or issues for each video that we want done.
Okay.
But
Steve, so for like 5 minute, all Ortelius objects as in?
What about that one?
Like, what do you mean? Like, we'll have we talked about different playlists. So one playlist for setting up Git, then another for setting up Ortelius, and
Hmm?
then for the different.
Yeah. So I think based on the personas that need to
Okay.
and that group comes up with, I think we should have a playlist for each one of those personas on how to get started with Ortelius, breaking it out into small
Okay.
3 to 5 minute sections. Because what ends up happening
Yeah.
is in Ortelius, we have these high level objects like a component, an application, in an environment. And those are, we need to describe what they are. So to put some context around what they may mean in your world. And that may be one of the
Yeah.
things that may come out of um, the first hour experience is we may be talking in terms that make no sense to people. That's not relatable to their environment. So we may need to do something on terminology. That's just a speculation. Um, but something like that is where we would want to describe what the Ortelius object is, and then what it would be in some typical use cases of what people see around the world.
Agreed.
Because
So
it's going to
the
be interesting because Tracy and I have a call this afternoon with what was it, Verifone? I can't remember. It's one of the
yeah.
cellular phone companies. I think in the
Well,
UK.
they do all those really cool gadgets when you go to a restaurant and they take the credit card to your table and you swipe it.
Oh, Verifone.
Yeah.
Um, so that company is having problems tracking components, but what it is they're actually having problems tracking components that are installed onto a handheld device for doing credit card swipes. So we think we're going to have a second meeting with them this today to figure out how that translation of their world of what they think of a component to what Ortelius thinks of a component and how they're going to match up, and how we can help them track, where things are on handheld devices. So that's just like an example of what we're talking about for Ortelius objects.
Well, what I was referring to, I mean, if you go to the documentation, in the documentation, I have listed, broken out the kinds of objects that we have with Ortelius. Like an application is an object, a component's an object, an environment is an object. If you go to, I think, key concepts, maybe, Ortelius 101, understanding objects and concepts. Yeah, so here's everything that we have like database tables for. It's the best way I could describe the without using the word component, the objects of Ortelius. So we probably could do a video on what components are, doing a video on what data sources are, and what a date is, and how dates are used across everything. Um, what the drop zone is, environments and endpoints. Those kinds of objects are the basic constructs of how you understand how Ortelius is put together. So it would be good for, if that's an easy one for for anyone to take on to read that part and then explain it in a video. It'd be great to have a video for each one of these that's embedded in here, so you could click on it and get a tutorial of what a component is, because application components and domains are the highest level. So those three we really need to make sure people understand how to use. But this is what I'm talking about. The whole usability question. We need to look to make sure that the documentation is usable. I've written every line of this, and I can tell you I am terrible at writing documentation. I am not the person that should have done this, but it had to get a good starting point. But I know that there are better ways to lay out the data, and this stuff can be, ripped apart and rewritten however we need to write it. But again, this goes back to the adoption and the ease of use.
So, Priyashat, are you going to go
Yeah,
ahead and?
also,
Oh,
I
go
think
ahead.
you could come up with some of the use cases, like, why Artelius, like, 3 or 4 use cases that we have seen, the problem that we are trying to solve, right? I think that would also help for, somebody starting microservices or is very new to microservices.
Hmm.
Alok, I think
Or
that is exactly what Neetu is thinking as well. So we might want to put the two of you together because that's a big task that she's taken on.
okay.
I did just create a use case around what Unisys is doing with Deploy Hub, which is
Mhm.
also relevant to Ortelius. So we might be able to take that as a starting point, but I think that you're on the right path. A use case for microservice developer, a use case for somebody in testing, a use case for a, an SRE or a DevOps engineer. I
Yeah,
think those are the high level ones that you guys are really talking about, and I think
sure,
that would be
sure.
super useful.
And
Yeah,
I think once we have those, then we can expand it onto, like you said, take this use case. And then we talk about how Ortelius is solving that use case, and then we have a video linked to that as well. So it's all, right there for, I'm a SRE. This is what it means to me, and how do I use it?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
And that stuff then should get translated to the website as well. And that's another goal we could put on our big rocks. I don't want to put too many because it's just silly,
Well,
but
this
that's
part
yeah.
I can, like you said, this part can go up to the up underneath here.
oh, you took out Python. You're gonna just add that conversion of Python to the,
I'll get it reformatted.
and that converting DM script to Python is a total usability issue. And then website,
Oh, you put that back. Okay.
because I feel like the website, we need to have a way for everybody to contribute to it with pull requests. So we may have to move it over to something like Doxy. And the Jenkins website is amazing. They have so much content there because everybody can contribute really easily just through Doxy. So it'd be great to get an initial kind of format of the website in Doxy format, so everybody, and get it set up so we could do, pull requests, create issues and pull requests for the website.
So one thing we need to do is make sure we get some issues created. I know when I was talking to Friyajat last and Aisha last week, we need to get more finer grained issues out there so people, I think right now they're too general and it's too hard for somebody to pick up and get going.
So how does that look then? Well, we should, here's four big rocks. Migrating to microservices alone is massive. All of these are really big rocks. I think those are good ones to stick with, and these are really good KPIs, because I think if we do the top right, we'll get the bottom numbers will come up. And right now we're at around 80. Our starting point is 80, and the number of Git commits. Well, we should just list these as our starting point, so we have some kind of, performance indicators to show how well we're doing, and we should track this like on a monthly call, so we all know where we're at. Parajat, you want to do? Would you be willing to take on tracking, just updating the doc before like the first meeting of the month that says where we're at with these particular KPIs?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay.
Oh, and then there was a new repo created for community. Just so you know, I don't know what's in it. I haven't.
Yes, so Marky created a repo for community, so we can add. I'm not sure what kinds of things that we would be adding to that, but I think that there'll be stuff that's going to come along that he knows that we don't.
Yeah, that's what I think, because I know on the documentation I did add in under contributing. I did like the PR cheat sheet. So I put it into our regular docs, more details about contributing. And I know Josh was doing some stuff around setup. He was pushing into the docs as well. So we're just trying to beef up the docs with stuff going on. So that may need to be pulled out later, but it seemed like a logical place to stick things initially.
Okay. Community repo created by Marky. And hopefully we'll get Marky Jackson back on some of these calls, but for now he's crazy busy and he is meeting with us every 2 weeks, or at least he's meeting with Neetu and Parajat to keep them kind of focused and going in the right direction.
Yeah. So here's where Josh installed Istio and gave all the commands. So, like I said, we're trying to make sure that whatever we do is documented, so people can find it and understand what we did. So, Priyashat, I think I'm going to have to work with you this week. Maybe not this week, but early next week on getting some of the issues finer grained.
Yeah, and we'll tag them Hacktoberfest also.
Yep. So I have the couple deadlines I gotta wrap up for this week with some changes, and then as soon as I'm done with those, I'll get in touch with you and we'll work through getting issues cleaned up.
And then one last point. Siddharth, is this your first meeting?
Yeah,
Why
it
don't,
is.
why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey, hi everyone. My name is Siddharth. I'm based in New Delhi. I'm working for NatWest Group. So NatWest Group, we're a bank of brands. If you heard of NatWest Market, NatWest International, Sabias, Ulster Bank, Coach Bank, Adam and Company, and list goes on and on. So we are like, as per the annual report 2019, we have over 4 billion pounds of profit last year. And I'm part of the DevOps Center of Excellence team across NatWest Group. Been here for NatWest Group for over 3 years now. So we're working on a lot of things, basically bringing cultural mindset changes across NatWest Group in terms of the DevOps adoption and setting across policies, standards, working across with a lot of other COEs and COPs and talking to the partners and also conducting a lot of other major events across the NatWest group. Uh, in past, I have been more of a consulting guy. Worked with previously with Wipro Consulting, HSBC, and Lloyds Bank into the roles of digital transformation. Besides what I do in NatWest Group, I'm part of volunteering efforts with, for example, Global Ambassador for DevOps Institute, uh, Cloud Credential Council expert panel on board on of it, also for the DASA, which is DevOps and Agile Association. I'm part of their influencer program. Been a speaker for a couple of events outside NatWest Group. The recent event which is coming across is the DevOps.com, which is having their DevOps experience, and of course the Spinnaker Summit, which is currently running. So I'm part of that event as a speaker as well.
Nice.
Uh, Stay in New Delhi. That's it.
Thank you. You see how what amazing people we have on this team? It's like I'm blown away by this the areas of expertise and skills that we're bringing together. It's pretty awesome.
So what's your background in Spinnaker? Are you like a superstar in it?
I am talking about ethics in the time of digital transformation.
Because Spinnaker on our integration list, Spinnaker's near the top to doing integrations into the Spinnaker world. So that's why I was curious.
So I am just part of, recently been associated with Linux Foundation project and with Tracy and her better half sister, another Tracy, very recently. So
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
Alok, are you still interested in doing some work on the website?
Yes, I've been talking to Divya, and we are trying to come up with some of the ideas, and I think we're going to talk to Marky also, maybe this week or next week, to see his thing with the Jenkins website, how they are doing that and all that, so we can get some ideas around that as
Why don't I add you to, so next Tuesday, I believe, is our call with Marky, the 27th.
well. Okay.
And it's also the day that we present Ortelius to the TOC.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to reach out to Marky and see if we can't reschedule that, maybe push it back by 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I will post the link for the TOC presentation on Discord. And anybody who wants to show up and just be there. I mean, if we had a bunch of our contributors showing up and saying we are here, we're here, it will be useful. And I'll make sure that I'm allowed to do that. But it's an open source community, so I don't know why I wouldn't be allowed to invite the people that are working on this project. So we have a little bit of an overlap. I think it's like 30 minutes. It's an hour meeting, and Marky cuts right in the middle. So I'll reach out to him and rearrange that. But I'll make sure you get on with time with him, because if we could find out how the Jenkins website is set up and how all the pull requests are set up, then everybody can start contributing to the website, and that will be helpful.
Sure. No problem. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that I'm on the PST time zone. Sometimes it's a little early for me to jump on
I
the
know.
call.
I know. I know.
oh, and Priyajat, I have a different baseball cap today.
I
Yeah.
noticed.
That's the Golden Knights.
It's our hockey team
It's a
near
hockey
us.
team.
Sasha, you around after this?
Yep, I can
All right.
be definitely.
All right, I'm gonna ping you and just want to go over a few things with you.
Cool, no
Okay,
problem.
everybody. Many thanks. Thank
cool.
you.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks
Guys.
everybody.
Stay safe and healthy.
Cheers, everyone.
Hey,
Yeah,
Bye.
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 Bye.